Welcome to The Gig. I'm Johnny O, and I want to talk about file transfers, mainly external file transfers. So what happens if you have, say, one hard drive, and you're going to plug it into your computer, and as it's coming into your computer, at the same time, you're going to be copying that to 4 or 5 different sources. Well, what's going to happen is that's going to be 4 or 5 times slower. So your 10 or 20-minute job just became over a 2-hour job. So I'm going to suggest to you, if you're taking large files, important, media files and this sort of thing, the only thing that computer should be doing on the USB bus is taking that file and putting it on its own internal drive. Now, once you're done and it's on that computer and it's off that external drive, you can copy it to 10 sources if you want. It doesn't matter. But there should only be one interface copying at a time. Otherwise, it brings down your whole computer. Your whole bus will just be flooded. Now, on the really good high-end computers, what you have is you have multiple USB buses. Those are expensive, and you have to get usually a gaming rig to do that. And then, it's much quicker. But generally speaking, what you should do, if you have an external source, your external source should be USB 3.1, and it should be a SSD. And I don't want to hear any bitching about SSD prices anymore, because you can get a 1 terabyte Samsung SSD for $200 now. This past week, for some reason, the past week or two, I watch the prices all the time. The SSD prices have really come down. And that's because a few companies are introducing a lot cheaper chips that go on them. I think the one I read about this week was Toshiba has just developed a technology they're going to start implementing soon to make these SSDs much bigger. Much bigger. So when they get bigger, they also get cheaper. And Samsung, the #1, fastest SSD, they're relatively cheap now. Well, there's no excuse not to have external SSDs. These spinners, I don't care if they're 3.5 inch or 5 inch, they're done. They've been done for years, in my opinion. No one should be using them. Your external drive should be an SSD, and it should be running over USB 3 or 3.1 bus. All USB are backwards compatible, which means it doesn't matter if even the computer interface is USB 2.0. So it would just run at 2.0 speeds. Your USB 3 will only run at 2.0 speeds. Even USB 1.0, it'll still be backwards compatible. That's what I like about PCs and universal serial buses. Now, when you do that and you're doing a big transfer, multiple gigabytes, like tens of gigabytes, you take that source and you start copying it to your internal SSD and you leave it alone. You don't do anything else, because anything else is going to steal clock cycles from that. The computer has to calculate, and it's managing that. You can do a few little light things. Don't do any more file transfers. Your 20-minute job just became an hour job. Okay? It's exponential. It exponentially slows down the bus. That's how it works. I'm Johnny O. This is The Gig. Questions and comments below. Don't forget to subscribe.